hours will drop down to 62 for an.
We thank you for your service. Join us again Tuesday at 5 and 7 Eastern for more Hardball Countdown with Keith Olbermann. Starts right now.
Which of these stories will you be talking about tomorrow? Case closed. The conservative radio morning shock jock who went from waterboarding isn't torture to this in 12 ounces and 6 seconds.
Ooh, water going. All right, that's it. That's it. All right.
Oh, God. I don't want to say this. I do not want to say this. Absolutely torture.
You do?
Absolutely. I mean, that's drowning.
Man cow, who once called Howard Dean a traitor, Fox News regular, admits the truth. The most infamous political commercial of all time, Lyndon Johnson's nuclear nightmare, Daisy. The Republicans have just brought it back.
To close it, not.
It being Gitmo. Was this what the chairman meant when he said,
"We're going to take this president on with class. We're going to take this president on with dignity"?
Republicans flee that, and they flee Dick Cheney. Senators Murkowski, Bennett, McCain asked about Cheney's role in the party. McCain answers, "I don't have the time or energy to discuss that, or the inclination." But this draws an answer. The torturers at Gitmo were acting honorably and lawfully, but
at Abu Ghraib, a few sadistic prison guards abused inmates in violation of American law, military regulation, and simple decency.
Brigadier General Janice Karpinski, righteously indignant at that double standard, she joins us. Extended detentions. Is President Obama doing the best he can with a mess inherited from Bush, or is this just a new name for the old violation of civil rights? Worsts, Governor Secession Perry of Texas. He might take some of the stimulus money after all to fix up his mansion. And WTF Round 2, Limbaugh's plea to be left alone.
I challenge you, MSNBC. 30 days without anything mentioning me, no video of me, no guests commenting on me. Let's see if you can do it.
F you. He has now issued a response, and we have now created a Limbaugh logo. All that and more now on Countdown.
I'll either act like I don't care about it, or I'll fake it.
Good evening from New York. The torture debate ended today. It was at 8:40 a.m. Central Daylight Time. It was in the most unlikely of venues, the radio studio of a Chicago shock jock named Eric Mancow Muller, fully of the right to the degree that he once claimed on air that Barack Obama was a secret Muslim, then called then DNC Chairman Howard Dean a, quote, traitor, and once insisted with no qualifications that waterboarding was not torture. Our fifth story in the countdown. And then he had himself waterboarded today to prove that it was not torture.
How long is the average person, can they take this?
About 14 seconds.
14 seconds?
That's the average, 14 seconds done properly, yeah.
Now, we've got to get your face covered here, all right?
Here we go.
We're going to get it nice and wet.
He's dunking the cloth in a bucket of water now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get ready to put it over your face, okay?
Okay.
All right, it's going over Mancow's face.
Should you cover my mouth, too?
No, we want to see you scream.
We want to see him scream. All right. All right, we're coming up here. All right, EMT Rossi standing by?
Yes.
All right. All right, good luck, my friend.
Don't move your head, okay? One.
You gonna hold my nose?
Yeah, I'm holding your nose. I'm holding his nose as he speaks, okay?
Move down a little. You're squeezing the top of my nose. There you go.
Okay, there we go. Well, I have to get over here that way I can get a good grip.
All right, here's the bucket of water in his hand. Right. The sergeant is over Mancow's head.
We're going to do it on 5, okay?
Okay.
1, 2, I lied.
Ooh, water going. All right, that's it. That's it. All right.
Oh, God.
Mancow is soaked.
Oh.
Mancow is soaked. We all got a little water on him. How you doing, buddy? All right.
Oh.
You're soaked, man. How do you feel? You want the EMT?
No.
The EMT's here.
No, it's okay. It is.
Catch your breath.
I'm fine. It is way worse than I thought it would be. And it is way worse than I thought it would be. And that's no joke.
Would you consider that torture?
Look, all that's been done to this country, and I heard about water being dropped on someone's face, and I never considered torture. Even when I was laying there, I thought this is going to be no big deal. I go swimming. It's going to be like being in the tub. It is such an odd feeling to have water poured down your nose and your mouth with your head back. It was instantaneous. I thought I could hold out 30 seconds, 60 seconds. It was instantaneous, and I don't want to say this. I do not want to say this. Absolutely torture.
You do?
Absolutely. I mean, that's drowning.
Absolutely torture, he says. That's drowning, he says. If he were being interrogated in that way, he added later, I would confess to anything. Mr. Mueller lasted 6 seconds. And he, unlike prisoners who were waterboarded, had a toy cow that he could throw, and he had had enough. And he, unlike prisoners who were waterboarded, obviously knew it would end. He knew it would not kill him. And he, unlike prisoners who were waterboarded, was not subject to any other potential element of being a prisoner, like confinement or sleep deprivation or temperature extremes or having it done to him. Another 182 times. As a healthy 42-year-old man, Mr. Mueller underwent what might be easily called the Rolls-Royce version of waterboarding. 6 seconds torture. Let's turn to MSNBC political analyst, contributor to the Huffington Post, Lawrence O'Donnell. Lawrence, good evening.
Good to be with you, Keith.
Let's recall one of the lines from Mr. Cheney's speech yesterday. To call this a program of torture is to libel dedicated professionals. Did this demonstration pretty much tell Mr. Cheney where he could put that sentiment?
Finally, yes, Keith. And the fact that it comes from the conservative side of the radio world, I think, gives it more credibility even. I spoke to a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL last week, who went through this process in the training programs that we've all heard about. He said it was torture. He said there are, even though you know that they're going to stop, it feels like drowning. It is supposed to feel like drowning. That's what the radio guy just said, that it was drowning. And so waterboarding is an inadequate term for what the torture is. The torture is drowning. And if they continue it, you will drown. You can be drowned this way, and you are meant to feel like you're drowning. And that's exactly what he experienced. You feel like you're dying. That is torture.
And this is the right guy to have done this, and I credit him for doing this because he didn't reveal this till afterwards, but as a child he said he had in fact had drowned and had to be revived. So he knew what he was talking about when he said it's not just that it's torture, it is drowning. Is the failure perhaps to get this point across the simple semantics of this, the terminology? Could it be that that's simply stupid, that people actually believed, as he said, it was some water being poured on the face, that the point has not been made sufficiently? It is not artificial or simulated drowning. It's drowning, and then they stop it just before you die.
Well, this is a guy who's been listening to the debate, obviously, you know, for the better part of a year, and had an impression that you are on a board and someone pours water on your face, and big deal. He has discovered what a big deal it is. And look, there's an account that I've read on the air at MSNBC of someone who was waterboarded in that training program that the military runs, and he said that he experienced it as torture when he went through it. He gave a very detailed account of it, and the more of this that we can see, and if Sean Hannity is ever going to step up to your challenge, it can only advance our knowledge about what this actually is. I think the key word is drowning. That's what we should be shifting the semantics to.
A quick vision of the big picture, Lawrence. This will impact the debate how, do you suppose?
Well, I spent the morning on one of the network morning shows with Liz Cheney telling me that waterboarding is not torture, which is the family line. And so it wastes a certain segment of the discussion that you have to go through that whole issue of is it or is it not torture. Of course, you know, Cheney dictated legal memos, you know, to the hacks, the lawyer hacks in the administration to say that this isn't torture. And that's what he's relying on when he and the Cheney family assert that it isn't. But the more of these experiments we do and the more videotape we have on them, the more that notion just disappears.
And the right answer, or the right's answer to this will be what? A, he wasn't really a conservative. B, ignore it. C, oh, we never did anything that bad.
Well, they will definitely try to ignore it, but if they are forced to address it, remember, Sean Hannity still tells his audience that we did indeed find weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So there is no such thing as winning with minds like that by using things like facts.
MSNBC political analyst, contributor to the Huffington Post, Lawrence O'Donnell. Great thanks. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Keith.
A conservative radio talk host, no longer able to defend waterboarding. The most eloquent testimony about it imaginable. It wasn't just torture. It was drowning. He knew he had nearly drowned as a boy. It is unlikely Vice President Cheney will ever face torture, making it that much easier for him to continue his campaign against people like the Chicago radio man seeing the light. as he did yesterday in his speech defending the Bush administration's torture program. The former vice president claiming that the rest of us have failed to understand exactly what happened at the Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq, and more importantly, why it happened.
In public discussion of these matters, there has been a strange and sometimes willful attempt to conflate what happened at Abu Ghraib with top-secret program of enhanced interrogations. At Abu Ghraib, a few sadistic prison guards abused inmates in violation of American law, military regulation, and simple decency. For the harm they did to Iraqi prisoners and to America's cause, they deserved and received Army justice.
Former Brigadier General Janice Karpinski, of course, ran the U.S. prisons in Iraq after the invasion and was demoted after Abu Ghraib. She's the author of One Woman's Army. The commanding general of Abu Ghraib tells her story. Thanks for coming in again.
Glad to be back with you.
Cheney claims that what happened in Iraq had absolutely nothing to do with the Bush administration and its interrogation policy. You heard that again, and as many times as it's played, it still is novel, to say the least. What is your response to what he claims?
I mean, once again, he chooses the words and the expression that just flabbergasts me. But then you are suggesting, Mr. Cheney, that your memorandums and all of those lawyers that sat together countless times and developed those techniques to step outside of the law and redefine torture, they think the same way that these young soldiers think, because it's got to be a tremendous coincidence that these soldiers did exactly what your memos said they could do. Now, maybe they didn't have the privilege of seeing those memos. I feel pretty confident that they didn't. But there were people there who did, who had experience at Guantanamo Bay or at Bagram in Afghanistan and came to Iraq and gave them the instructions on what to do and how to do it. Because I don't believe it's an extraordinary coincidence.
Reasonable men and reasonable women could have a debate, probably endlessly, about the validity and to what degree and in what cases of the phrase and the meaningfulness of the phrase, they were only following orders. But presumably it's a fairly, if it's true at all, it's presumably a fairly consistent truth. There should be a series of recognizable circumstances in which it's always true or it's always false. The CIA waterboarders get Cheney's praise, but the grunts at Abu Ghraib and their superior officers get punishment and jail. That does not seem to be a consistent approach when the explanation is identical.
Well, I think that the problem for Mr. Cheney is that if you hold those contractors, those CIA contractors, responsible, and they need to answer to a Senate Armed Services Committee or some other committee, now all of a sudden they're under fire and they're going to tell the truth. Right now they've been excused, so the truth is not so significant to them. The soldiers, on the other hand, knew from the beginning that the truth was the only thing that they could tell that would serve them properly. Of course, it didn't work out that way in the end because the administration had different objectives in mind.
What do you think Mr. Cheney's objectives were yesterday? Is this about defending U.S. policy? Is it about defending the safety of people in this country, or is it a little narrower focus than that?
I think his statement and his policy is Mr. Cheney. The two are inseparable now. So he is defending himself and his service during the 8 years in the administration. I don't think he wants to tell all of the story. He certainly doesn't want to bring up hunting or anything else again, but the policies clearly define him. He is determined to make them the truth. As he used the lawyers to redefine torture, he himself now is the representative to define this was the right thing to do.
You saw that waterboarding tape we just played. Rabid, conservative radio guy with the experience of drowning, but nearly dying as a kid. And he knew this wasn't torture. He knew it wasn't. 6 seconds in, he is out there and he's as rabid as the rest of us are. It's torture. He said it's drowning. He said if they were using it on him, he would confess to anything. Has there ever been any doubt in your mind that that's torture?
None whatsoever. It is torture. It is torture. It was painful to watch, and this is a tape. So I imagine an Iraqi detainee or a person that's been policed up and held under U.S. confinement subjected to this not once, but 85 times or over 100 times. They do not have the luxury of knowing they're going to survive. Yes, there were doctors available in case there was an emergency,
Right.
but those prisoners, those detainees did not know it. This was authorized. That's what Mr. Cheney is defending.
Yeah, and that's also, by the way, part one of the detainees' day. The rest of it involves going back to cells and wondering when they're going to go do it to you again. Janice Karpinski, former Brigadier General in charge of the prison system in Iraq. Great thanks once again for coming in.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You do the same.
So whatever there was to the torture debate, that's over now, and now there is this small detail. We are holding prisoners whom we tortured or who the evidence against was obtained from torture, so they cannot be put on trial. What do we do with them? What the president says, what the law says, what Jonathan Turley says, and then there is Kyle Mueller and Hannity. More to say about them.
There isn't anything else like it.
She will change history.
The Link. This changes everything. Check your local listings.
It's the Nissan National Tent Event. Through June 1st, get the reliable Altima, just $199 per month. Hurry, event ends June 1st. Look closer. Nissan delivers.
We make meeting times, lunch times, and conference times. But what we'd rather be making are tea times. Tea times are the official start of what we love to do. The time for shots we'd rather forget, and the ones we'll talk about forever. In Michigan, long days, relaxing weather, and more than 800 pristine courses make for the perfect tea time. Because being able to play all day is pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
Preventive detention are the president's new ideas for future threats and current detainees. The best options in an inherited bad situation, just bad options in any situations. Jonathan Turley next. Then how that Kyle Mueller waterboarding changes the playing field for charity and for Hannity. And in worst, he was the governor who wouldn't take any of the stimulus money. Then he was going to take some of the stimulus money. Now he's going to take some of the stimulus money to rebuild his mansion. This is Countdown.
Now, which photo should I pick for my Capital One card? Which Jimmy should we choose? How about this one?
No, delete. Just 2 Jimmys left.
And delete. Spaghetti Jimmy wins. How cute is that? Well, I love it.
Personalize your card at Capital One Card Lab, where you make your card yours. Just log on at CapitalOne.com.
You thought people wouldn't be traveling as much these days. So, why are they still leaving you behind? Time and again, to go off with their other car. Maybe it's the low rates on Avis.com. Maybe it's because your backseat smells like pickles. Or the rate thing.
Find our lowest rates on your favorite other car.
Introducing Toscani Pasta Pairs from Pizza Hut. Pick any 2 of our 4 restaurant quality recipes. That's 3 pounds of delicious pasta starting at just $13.99 with breadsticks. Toscani Pasta Pairs, pizza and pasta from Pizza Hut. Now you're eating.
If you own a business here in Southern Arizona, you need a cost-effective way to advertise on television. Cox Media can target your business to people in your area. For the best way to reach your customers in Southern Arizona, target your advertising message with Cox Media, 867-7100.
Hi, I'm Ron, owner of Southwest Tin Authority. Did you know you can block the heat and keep the view? State-of-the-art GeoShield window films are virtually invisible and are now available exclusively at Southwest Tin Authority. GeoShield window films qualify for federal energy tax credits and have a lifetime warranty. Protect your home furnishings, reduce your utility costs, and keep your view. Call Southwest Tin Authority today, 886-TIN.
Receive a $300 coupon for free groceries with minimum purchase.
2. Tonight, Farrah's story in her own words.
It is seriously time for a miracle.
Tonight at 11 Eastern on MSNBC.
Start the summer with a little search and seizure.
No hug for me?
MSNBC Sunday Predator Marathon beginning at 6 on MSNBC.
One thing President Obama no doubt wants to avoid is a Gitmo of the mind. The actual facility finally closed, but what was and is wrong with it surviving, accompanying detainees wherever they are ultimately placed. But in our fourth story on the countdown, the president has set off a firestorm by warning of prolonged indefinite detention for some of the Gitmo prisoners and maybe others. He described these people in his speech yesterday, a fifth category of Gitmo detainees, the ones who cannot be transferred to another country, cannot be tried in either a civilian court or by military commission, and cannot be released. Examples of that threat, he said, include people who've received extensive explosive training at al-Qaeda training camps or command Taliban troops in battle or express their allegiance to Osama bin Laden or otherwise made it clear that they want to kill Americans. These are people who, in effect, remain at war with the United States. We must have clear, defensible, and lawful standards for those who fall into this category. But that new legal framework has yet to be devised, and human rights advocates wonder if it would dress up the problem without fixing it and if it's unconstitutional or constitutional. Now, the president in his speech was clearly talking about detainees left over from the Bush administration, some of whom cannot be tried because they were tortured. The New York Times reports the president is also considering a framework for future so-called preventive detainees, persons who basically have not done enough to be tried in court, but who supposedly pose a threat to the United States. Let's call in Professor of Constitutional Law at George Washington University, Jonathan Turley. John, good evening.
Hi, Keith.
Let's talk about them in groups. First, the unassigned detainees, and we want to call them that. Some tortured by the Bush administration, so you can't put them on trial. Some presumably not going to be accepted by any country. What do we do with them? What can we do with them legally? Can you leave them off in front of Mr. Bush's new place in Dallas, or what?
Well, it is tempting to take bring it on literally and just to ship them in that direction, but we can't do that. The one thing that we can't do besides that is we can't treat justice like it's some dim sum menu where you have the Obama administration saying we'll take a little military tribunal, we'll take some federal court, we'll take some with no trials at all, and who's going to make those decisions? We are. We're going to decide, for one thing, we're willing to give trials to people unless we think they're going to win. And if we think they're going to win, we're going to deny them trials, and we're just going to hold them indefinitely. Now, you can dress that up any way you want, but you cannot make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, and that's what it is. It is an unprincipled act. It is exactly what Bush is doing. And what's strange about the Obama administration is they think that if you act a little bit unprincipled, that must mean that you're a little principled. But that's not how it works. Being principled means you hold to your principles no matter how distasteful the consequences may be.
Yeah, a little principled means you have little principles.
Right.
So all right, give me the safest for both considerations here. Obviously, you do not want, as has been, we wouldn't want these people dropped off. Some of them certainly the ones who've been detained all this time and may have a grudge against us for that reason alone. We don't want them dropped off in Dallas or New York or Wichita or anywhere else. What legally can be done that minimizes the possibility of there being a bad result for this country if they are in fact not guilty or found not guilty?
Well, there's a lot that can be done. Many of these people are members of terrorist organizations that can be proven without use of torture or coercion. Many of these people, in fact, can be tried. But there are going to be a small number of individuals who we simply have nothing we did not get through coercion or torture. And this is the test for our country. What the world sees the United States doing right now is having sort of buyer's remorse about our Constitution, to say we don't want to give them these rights if they're going to use it to prove that they, need to be acquitted or need to be released. Well, you can't have that. You have to make a decision. And this is really the cost of the system that we have. If we cannot convict these people in a real court, not a military tribunal, a real court, a federal court, then we need to deport them. Now, pending deportation, we can hold them. You don't have to release them in society. That's a bunch of just total nonsense. But eventually you will have to deport them. Many of them would go to our allies, such as Afghanistan and Pakistan. But this is where you have the test of principle. And unfortunately, it's a test that the Obama administration is failing mightily.
Preventive detention. I'm suspecting this has trouble written all over it.
Right. Well, preventive detention is just a fancy word of saying no trial. It's just a way of saying we're not going to apply the rule of law. And it's perfectly ridiculous to try to dress it up as if it is some type of legal process. It's being created because you are afraid that these people could win in court. It's the most transparent effort to circumvent your own legal system. But I have to tell you, the greatest danger, Louis Brandeis once said that the greatest danger doesn't come from evil-minded rulers, but men who act without appreciating or understanding our system. They're men actually of goodwill, but they are men of zeal. And I think that that was the worst paraphrasing of Brandeis in my life. But what he was saying is that we have to be most on guard when people that we respect come to us and try to create these things. If we allow the president to create this special category, we are inviting something that is nothing short of tyranny. That's the definition of tyranny, being able to hold someone without trial because you believe that they could do something dangerous in the future.
Jonathan Turley of George Washington University, a grim reality, but there it is nonetheless. And Justice Brandeis just asked for your email. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Remember the FedEx Speed Reader ads? Pittsburgh's Perfect, Pete? This is the Speed Reader ad meets the U.S. House of Representatives. And can you hear me now? The phone company that tries to charge Ohio police $20 to help them find a missing man by tracing him via his cell phone. Worst persons ahead. You're watching Countdown on MSNBC.
Last year, more than 500,000 investors opened an account at TD Ameritrade. Maybe because TD Ameritrade's fair and straightforward pricing made sense to them. Maybe for the range of products, not just stocks, but bonds, mutual funds, CDs, and the clear objective guidance to help them choose. Or maybe because the people on the phone or in the branch just seemed like good people to work with. Knowledgeable and nice. So why not talk to TD Ameritrade? There's never been a better time for a second opinion.
Right now at Men's Warehouse, when you buy one designer suit, you'll get one free. That's right, 2 suits for less than the price of one at a department store. You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it.
Mellow is the feeling that I get when I see her.
See what you love.
That's the time.
Love what you see. LensCrafters.
Laundry detergent doesn't remove all stains, and bleach may whiten your whites, but it's a disaster if you spill it on dark clothes. But there is an easy way to fight stains and whiten your laundry. OxiClean Stain Fighter. Just pour it in the wash to remove stains and boost detergent's whitening power by up to 50%. OxiClean's safe for your clothes, even colors. Nothing is better to remove stains, brighten colors, and whiten whites. OxiClean gets the tough stains out the first time.
Stop throwing your hard-earned cash in the trash. The all-new Food Saver vacuum packaging system with Smart Seal technology can save you over $600 a year. Don't waste food with ordinary zipper bags and plastic wrap. The Food Saver system takes air out and keeps it out, eliminating freezer burn. You can buy in economical bulk sizes, knowing the extras stay fresh up to 5 times longer. With its new upright design and hands-free operation, it has never been easier to keep your food fresh. The Food Saver system.
The Repo Joe sale is coming to Metro Auto Center this Friday through Monday. Here's your chance to buy vehicles bought from auctions that were repossessed by banks or leases that were terminated, plus other used cars. You pay $27 down, then make the payments posted right on the windshield. Some payments starting at $89 a month, $27 down, $89 a month. Plus, buy any used vehicle, and if you get laid off from work in the next 2 years, your payments are covered. Search for your vehicle at RepoJoe.com. Rush to Metro Auto Center in Tucson. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
We're about to surprise someone with free Hungry Howie's pizza for a year. Pizza made with fresh dough, only the Hungry Howie's way. The excitement is mounting thinking of all that free, delicious pizza with 8 mouth-watering, flavorful crust that you can only get at Hungry Howie's.
You just won free pizza for a year. Wow! Wow! Wow!
I love Hungry Howie's.
Well, we didn't expect that. But hey, it's Hungry Howie's. Screamingly delicious pizza.
America's largest pet pharmacy.
Coming Monday, lock-up reloads with an all-new season premiere.
I'm pretty excited about that.
This time, what happens when the inmates
I started stabbing.
run the cameras?
They take me straight to lockup.
Lock-up, an all-new season begins Monday at 10 on MSNBC. Chris Blass GOP Talk. On Get No Prisoners and National Security. Hardball with Chris Matthews. Tuesday at 7 on MSNBC.
Best in a moment, and the kid most likely to grow up to be the next Captain Sully Sullenberger. This is where I normally remind Sean Hannity that it is so many days since I took him up on his offer to be waterboarded for charity without any reply from him. But with today's development, the point is moot. Mancow Mueller had the guts to put his mouth where his mouth was, and the guts to admit he was dead wrong. As you saw, he not only said waterboarding is torture, but that it is drowning, and that he would have admitted to anything to make it stop. So the offer to the cowardish Hannity, $1,000 a second he lasted on the waterboard, is withdrawn. And to Mr. Mueller, whose station's publicity person had contacted us yesterday, saying she'd heard I'd offered $10,000 to anybody who would do what he did, you got it. $10,000 to the military family's charity of the man who did the waterboarding. The group is called Veterans of Valor. Mr. Mueller will join us on this news hour next week. As to Mr. Hannity, you, sir, are now unnecessary. Let's play oddball. We begin on Capitol Hill. Texas Congressman, global warming denier Joe Barton has been threatening to stall debate on the Waxman-Markey climate change bill by having the clerk read all 937 pages of the legislation. So the Democrats, led by Committee Chair Waxman himself, had something up their sleeve, trying to thwart Mr. Barton's idea. They employed a rather quick-tongued fellow.
Rather than ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading, the rules require that the amendment be read. The clerk will read the bill.
In lieu of the matter proposed to be inserted by the amendment offered by blank, insert the following. Section 1, short title,
listen
table of
to
contents.
it.
A short title of the Act may be cited as the Energy Production, Innovation, and Conservation Act. B, table of contents. Table of contents for the Act is as follows. Section 1, short title and table of contents. Title 1, Clean Energy Standards. Section 101, Federal Clean Energy Standard. Title 2, American Energy. Subtitle A, Conservation and Efficiency. Chapter 1, Tapping America's Ingenuity and Creativity. Section 201, Definition. Section 202, Statement of Policy. Section 203, Price Authority. Section 204, Eligibility.
Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent that the reading of the amendment be dispensed with.
Mr. Barton was in on the joke, but lost his point. His amendment to the bill failed. Your tax dollars in action. 2 new inductees to the Bill O'Reilly Hall of Fame. He once read, as you may remember, a prank email from a viewer who identified himself as Jack Mayhofer, the morning anchor team at WDIV in Detroit, going through a list of local birthdays and going way too fast to notice the one that was next to last.
Nakia Johnson is 32, Wendy Miller 40, Tracy Abrams 41, and Joyce McDonald 43.
Cynthia Moore turns the big 5-0 today. Eddie McCrae Sr. turns 61. Eaton Bieber turns 69, and Ruth Bledsoe 90 years old today.
She didn't even flinch. No comment from station spokesman Dr. Joseph Mama and Mr. Haywood Hablome. I think that's how that's pronounced. Is Republican chaos actually just a sign of every Republican grabbing for power? And who thought it would be a good idea to resurrect the Daisy ad from LBJ? And Boss Limbaugh responds, well, we unveil the new MSNBC Follow the Bouncing Boss logo. These stories ahead, but first time for Countdown's top 3 best persons in the world. Number 3, best outdated news. The usually meticulous sports columnist Jeff Gordon of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. He wrote a real head-scratcher, at least to me, under the heading Mysteries of the Universe, amid references to this year's Cardinals rookie Colby Rasmus and the Hall of Famer George Brett. He writes, now that Keith Olbermann is returning to ESPN with a radio show, what's next? World peace? The quote has a link to it. The link is to an article about my rejoining ESPN to do radio. The article is from June 13th, 2005. So if we're all going back to June 13th, 2005, that would indeed be a mystery of the universe. Number 2, best taste. You, the viewer at home. The Hitwise service measures traffic at TV show websites. When children's shows are excluded, 4 of the top 10 most visited. 7th, Lou Dobbs. 8th, Us. Countdown. 9th, Bill-O. 10th, Larry King. Hello. Bill-O, 9? They said children's shows have been excluded. And number 1, best quick thinking. Tustin Maines of North Platte, Nebraska. His father, Philip, was driving his sons home from a restaurant when he suddenly was overcome with low blood sugar. He passed out. Tustin, thinking quickly, got from the back seat of the car with a truck to the front, grabbed the wheel, and managed to steer the truck even though his father was passed out, his foot on the accelerator for a time, blocking his son from sliding into the driver's seat. A couple of blocks later, police were finally able to catch up with the truck, which was still by inertia going 10 or 15 miles an hour, and bring it to a stop. Why'd they have to do that? Because the emergency driver, who thought so quickly, who steered it anyway, Tustin Maines, is 6 years old.
Just take your place in the driver's seat. Driver's seat.
Now, you're watching Countdown with Keith Olbermann. Coming up next on The Rachel Maddow Show. Rachel zeroes in on the Capitol Hill fallout over the president's national security speech. The Rachel Maddow Show, next only on MSNBC. Brought to you by Sprint, only on the Now Network.
Welcome to the Now Network, population 49 million. Right now, 1.5 million people are on a conference call. 750,000 wish they weren't. Construction workers are making 244,000 Nextel Direct Connect calls, and 1,200 people are using GPS on their phone in a rental car.
Right.
3 people left their briefcase on the roof. That's happening now. America's most dependable 3G network, bringing you the first wireless 4G network. Sprint, the Now Network.
You guys are more interested in chocolate chips than microchips. What's technology's role here?
The way I think technology really fits is in making connections.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's an incredible amount of knowledge in Nestle, but it requires one of our scientists in Sri Lanka to talk to one of our marketing people in Brazil, and ultimately with a product technologist in Russia. I do see us connecting much more internally. That's where I see huge opportunities to save money and be more innovative.
I have COPD, which makes it hard to breathe. But now that I'm breathing better with Advair, I can enjoy the zoo with my grandkids.
For people with COPD, including chronic bronchitis, emphysema, or both, great news. Advair helps significantly improve lung function. While nothing can reverse COPD, Advair is different from most other medications because it contains both an anti-inflammatory and a long-acting bronchodilator working together to help you breathe better. Advair won't replace fast-acting inhalers for sudden symptoms and should not be used more than twice a day. People with COPD taking Advair may have a higher chance of pneumonia. Advair may increase your risk of osteoporosis and some eye problems. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking Advair.
We had a great day, Grandpa.
We sure did. Ask your doctor how Advair helps improve lung function for better breathing.
Find out how to get your first full prescription free at advaircopd.com.
Dreaming about owning your own spa? Well, stop dreaming. It's Sundance Spa's best offer ever. Payments as low as $94 a month, up to $3,000 off, and free spa maintenance for a year. Sundance Spas is celebrating its 30th anniversary with incredible savings. Get the Sundance Spa you've always dreamed of, with payments as low as $94 a month with no money down, up to $3,000 off, and free spa maintenance. Hurry, offer good through Memorial Day. Call 888-9-SUNDANCE to find a dealer near you.
It was the most reviled political commercial in American history, maybe in the English language. And 45 years later, as they search for a new idea, the Republicans have just stolen that one. In our third story in the countdown, the mushroom cloud imagery of the infamous Daisy ad might better describe GOP infighting than it serves GOP image making. In the Rose Garden this morning, some Republican lawmakers supporting the president's efforts to protect the nation, at least as long as the photo op lasted. The commander-in-chief signing legislation to cut wasteful defense spending, promising to do whatever it takes to defend the American people. Meanwhile, the geniuses who run the Republican Party, or at least pretend to, at the RNC, deciding it would be a good idea to splice footage of the little girl in the 1964 Lyndon Johnson campaign ad with footage misrepresenting the president's position on closing the detention center at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
To close it, not.
Guantanamo, that's easy. Close down Guantanamo.
To close it, not.
I don't believe that should come to the United States.
We will never allow terrorists to be released into the United States.
To close it, not.
We've made some hasty decisions that are now going to take some time to unwind. And closing Guantanamo Bay obviously is one of those decisions.
These are the stakes. Guantanamo, that's easy. Close down Guantanamo.
White House Press Secretary Gibbs, as you may have guessed, had been talking about the Bush administration's hasty decision to open Gitmo, not about his boss, President Obama, and his decisions. Not that you would know that from that ad. Is that what RNC Chairman Michael Steele meant when he claimed earlier this week, quote, "We're going to take this president on with class. We're going to take this president on with dignity." Republicans who have actually won elections now chafing at the dignity of the former vice president's less than true confessions tour in the wake of yesterday's Tell It Like It Wasn't installment before an audience of neocons. Senator John McCain concluding of Mr. Cheney's speech, quote, I don't have the time or energy to discuss that, or the inclination. Time now to call on the Washington correspondent of the New Yorker magazine, Ryan Lizza. Ryan, good evening.
Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Dick Cheney at the forefront and McCain and others running for cover. We're fighting Obama with class. They trot out the Daisy ad. Externally, this looks like chaos. Is this, in fact, various would-be leaders of the Republican Party fighting to gain control of it?
Well, this is what happens when a party is out of power, when you don't have the White House, when you don't have any, when you don't control the House or the Senate, and it's just, 1,000 flowers are blooming. The leadership of the Republican Party will emerge around the next presidential election. That's the next time they'll actually have a real leader. Until then, they're stuck with Dick Cheney, who's the sort of loudest, and he's taking on the administration the most directly, and that's their guy for the moment.
And by the way, not to make an editorial comment here, but I don't know that those are necessarily flowers. But anyway, in addition to Senator McCain declaring something else, similarly in structure, but nothing else. McCain declared he didn't have the time or the energy or the inclination to discuss what Mr. Cheney said yesterday. Senator Murkowski, the Republican of Alaska, who had Cheney campaign for her in 2004, she's told Politico that she hasn't thought that far about whether she wants his help next year in her Senate race again. Is this Republican lawmakers' equivalent of telling the former vice president to get lost, to put it politely?
Yeah, look, and I think these guys are a little ambivalent about this. On the one hand, they read the same polls everyone else does. They know that Dick Cheney is personally their own toxic asset. On the other hand, they've adopted his strategy on as far as how to confront the administration on national security. And you see guys like Boehner and other Republican leaders on the Hill saying the same things that Cheney are saying. So they've adopted the Cheney message, although I doubt although they don't want Cheney the messenger out there campaigning for them. So that's the sort of box they're in right now.
Here's another one. Michael Steele said two things this week. One, that the GOP would treat President Obama with class and dignity, and two, that the party would take this aggressive new approach in confronting him. The new Daisy ad remix is number 2 at the expense of number 1, or is it? It doesn't seem to fulfill both of those requirements.
No, it doesn't. I mean, this ad to me, it strikes me as something that an intern, made up at a morning meeting. And normally at the RNC there'd be some adults in the room to say, let's move on to the next idea here. But things are a little bit chaotic at the RNC under Steele, and you don't necessarily have that adult supervision to filter out things like this.
The RNC did not use the mushroom cloud portion of the original Johnson ad from '64. In a weird way, it's a pulled punch, but is it also sort of admitting that the whole premise of the thing is, and using it again, is pretty tasteless?
Yeah, it's like they want to have a little bit of plausible deniability here. They want to say, well, we didn't show the mushroom cloud going off, when they know, of course, what it suggests, and obviously when people talk about it, they'll reference that. So I think that's right. I think they thought maybe it would be going one step too far with the mushroom cloud, but the effect would be out there because everyone would discuss it anyway. Ryan
Lizza of The New Yorker. Great, thanks. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Keith. You too.
Rush Limbaugh pleads that we stop talking about him for 30 days. I respond that I'll stop it if he does. If he stops the constant references he makes to himself and his accomplishments and his this and his that. And he says he doesn't understand what I'm saying. And you'll understand the word hypocrisy better than ever when you hear how Governor Rick No Stimulus Perry plans to spend part of the stimulus money after all. Worst persons ahead, the remodeling section on Countdown.
She's losing her battle against nasal allergies, but we found a way to fight it.
Omneris to the nose!
Omneris works differently than many other allergy medications. Omneris fights nasal allergy symptoms that occur from allergic inflammation. Relieve those symptoms with Omneris. Side effects may include headache, nosebleed, and sore throat. Mission accomplished. Oh, incoming! Ask your doctor about Omneris. In the battle against nasal allergy symptoms, Omneris combats the cause.
We now offer phone service for $1.70 a month with MagicJet. That's just $19.95 a year. $19.95 a year. We give you free local and long distance and your own phone number. Replace your phone company or add a second line with MagicJet.
Your lawn, destroyed by two types of insects. Bayer Advanced Complete Insect Killer protects against both. Complete's exclusive two-way formula kills insects above ground while it penetrates below ground to control root-destroying pests for up to 3 months. Bayer Advanced.
When the light comes on, just come in. Pep Boys.
Pep Boys is America's only tires, parts, and full-service center. This week, Manny, Mo, and Jack bring you the Pep Boys Memorial Day tire event. Buy 1 tire for as low as $24.99. Buy any 2 tires, get a free oil change. Buy any 3 tires and get the 4th tire free. When the light comes on, just come in.
Pep Boys does everything for less.
Need a tow? Call 1-800-PEP-BOYS.
There are bound to be a slew of furniture sales this weekend, but only one matters: the Lazy Boy Furniture Gallery's Memorial Day sale. Great savings throughout the store, and make no payments and pay no interest for a year. Just like those other furniture sales, the prices are cheap. Unlike those other sales, the furniture is not. Great savings throughout the store, and make no payments and pay no interest for a year. It's a better furniture sale because it's better furniture, so don't lollygag. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries. It's time to get comfortable.
Free speech alive and well at Jerry Falwell's College, unless you're a Democrat. And the hypocrisy of Texas Governor Rick No Stimulus Package Perry. He will take some of the stimulus to redecorate. Part of the battle for worst persons, and then Limbaugh responds and the Limbaugh logo appears. Tonight's WTF moment.
National Car Rental knows I'm picky. So at National, I go right past the counter. And you get to choose any car in the aisle. Choose any car! You cannot be serious! Seriously, you choose. Okay.
Go National. Go like a pro.
There isn't anything else like it.
She will change history.
The Link. This changes everything. Check your local listings.
I don't think you can live the American lifestyle without energy.
We have all this energy here in the U.S. We have wind, we have solar, obviously, we have lots of oil.
I think we need to do maybe some offshore drilling.
I think we have the can-do, we have the capability, we have the technology.
The solutions are here. We just need to find them here at home.
Now, which photo should I pick for my Capital One card? Which Jimmy should we choose? How about this one? No, delete. Just 2 Jimmys left. And delete. Spaghetti Jimmy wins. How cute is that? Well, I love it.
Personalize your card at Capital One Card Lab, where you make your card yours. Just log on at CapitalOne.com.
Wow, did we hit pay dirt on Limbaugh. After the man begged us to stop criticizing him even for just 30 days, he has now issued a response to my challenge. We'll stop talking about him if he'll stop talking about him. And the new MSNBC Rush logo is ready for its bouncing debut. That's next, but first, time for Countdown's number 2 story, tonight's worst persons in the world. Number 3, the bronze, as we call it in this segment, to Mark Hine, the Vice President of Student Affairs at Liberty University. That's Jerry Falwell's place. He has just banned from campus a small student group that he had personally authorized just last fall and has now threatened to expel anyone who remains in it. The Liberty University Democratic Club. You can't be a Democrat and be a Christian and be a university representative, he told students in the club. Mr. Hine, squelch free speech if you think that gets you closer to Christ and not farther away. But at least have the decency to change the name of the school to Theocracy U. The head of the Liberty University Democratic X Club will join Rachel at the top of the hour. Our runners-up, the Verizon people supervising Carrollton, Ohio. 62-year-old man there disappeared, and police tried to locate him through his cell phone. But he was behind on his payments, so Verizon had shut it off. Fair enough. Sheriff Dale Williams asked them to switch it back on for 5 minutes or so they could locate the guy rather than send up a rescue team and searchers and dogs. Sure, said the Verizon rep. Just as soon as you pay $20 on his overdue bill. They found the man. He's okay. They also found out about our Verizon, and it's not okay. But our winner, good old Governor Rick, I'm not saying we should secede, but what if it comes to that? Perry of Texas. The latest goofball stunt by this flaming fraud, the man who was so offended by the stimulus package, the audacity of sending $700 million in emergency spending to Texas that he has talked about refusing all or most of it. He wants to keep 11 million of it now, so it can be used on a building project. Well, how does a building project create jobs? Oh, I see. The building project is to repair the badly burned Texas governor's mansion. Maybe you could spend another million or so to repair the badly burned Texas governor's credibility. That's Governor Rick Perry, today's worst person in the world.
Fair, straightforward pricing. That's what TD Ameritrade stands for. Think about it. Why pay investing fees you shouldn't have to, or account fees that aren't clear, like inactivity fees or maintenance fees? It's not right, and you know it. And the thing is, the other investment firms know it, but they do it anyway, and that's just not fair or straightforward. TD Ameritrade. Independence is the spirit that drives America's most successful investors.
Why is it raining? Who's the rain?
Roger that.
No rain, no rainbows.
Could you tell us what's going on? Yeah, your cake is en route, the tulips just arrived, and the groom is...
He's getting cold feet. I'm okay. No, I'm not.
Look, we gotta go now. The light's perfect.
We need the stunt groom now. What's a stunt groom?
Jackpot.
Get work done now. Nextel Direct Connect with GPS tracking. Only on the Now Network.
Millions of men 45 and older just don't feel like they used to. Are you one of them? Remember when you had more energy for 18 holes with your buddies? More passion for the one you love? More fun with your family and friends? Could be an easily treatable condition called low T.
Come on, stop living in the shadows. You've got a life to live.
So don't blame it on aging. Go to isitlowt.com to find out more.
For some people, seasonal allergies are no big deal. For me, they are. I saw my doctor and she prescribed Astropro. It's a powerful prescription antihistamine spray that goes right to the site of nasal allergy symptoms to relieve sneezing, itchy runny nose, and congestion. If you're allergic to Astropro, Astelin, or Azolastine, don't use it. Also avoid alcohol, sedatives, operating machinery, and driving. Side effects may include unusual taste, nosebleeds, headache, fatigue, and sleepiness.
Summer has always belonged to children. But now that the Summer of Audi event is here, summer can finally be yours. Experience the Summer of Audi with no payments at signing when you lease or finance select Audi models and get over 130 channels of Sirius satellite radio.
The Repo Joe sale is coming to Metro Auto Center this Friday through Monday. Here's your chance to buy vehicles bought from auctions that were repossessed by banks or leases that were terminated, plus other used cars. You pay $27 down, then make the payments posted right on the windshield. Some payments starting at $89 a month, $27 down, $89 a month. Plus, buy any used vehicle, and if you get laid off from work in the next 2 years, your payments are covered. Search for your vehicle at RepoJoe.com. Rush to Metro Auto Center in Tucson. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
714969.
Rachel zeroes in on the Capitol Hill fallout over the president's national security speech. The Rachel Maddow Show. Next only on MSNBC.
After Rush Limbaugh begged this network to stop criticizing him after he challenged MSNBC to not mention his name for 30 days, I offered to stop constantly referencing him if he would stop constantly referencing himself. He has now responded. TV writer David Bauder asking Limbaugh for comment. The answer, quote, Limbaugh responded in an email to the Associated Press on Thursday, quote, that's incoherent. You spend more time talking about yourself than anybody else in broadcasting. You stop that, I'll stop it too. To help you find coherence in that, making its world debut on this very program, behold, our new and improved Limbaugh logo. And now, a second challenge to him. Since this was too complicated for you first time, Sonny, we'll give you a second chance. It's tonight's WTF moment. Rush Limbaugh's startling admission that he cannot take it anymore, that this network's coverage of him has not only gotten to him, but gotten to him to a point perhaps never reached before by any other megalomaniac. He's suddenly gone all Greta Garbo on us. He wants to be left alone. He has surrendered. He cannot say it that way, of course. Were he to, the entire edifice that is Rush Limbaugh would come crashing down, and then we'd have to get one of those rescue squads from the ski resorts to go in and look for survivors. No, suddenly the impact of being accurately called out day after day, hour after hour as a faux populist, press release regurgitating lackey of repressive and regressive political flunkies, that has hit bone. Finally. Took a while. In sum, Rush Limbaugh, who told me in person years ago that his dream of dreams was to be on television, to be on ESPN, perhaps to sit next to me on SportsCenter, an utter television failure who yearns to somehow undo that permanent label. Rush Limbaugh does not want to be on TV anymore.
It seems that the liberalism that is MSNBC isn't selling as well as they would like, because they cannot, from the Scarborough show in the morning all the way tonight, they cannot go any appreciable length of time without showing video of me, the CPAC speech, or excerpts from this radio show, or having a bunch of hack guests on to discuss me. So my challenge is this. To MSNBC, let's see if you can run your little TV network for 30 days. Let's see if you can do rush withdrawal. Let's see if you can run your little TV network for 30 days without doing a single story on me. And then let's take a look at your ratings during those 30 days and see what happens.
F you. You're in charge of this? You're not in charge of this. You put your bile out into the public airwaves for 3 hours a day and you get to decide how people react to it? The hell you do. There are rules about how we can and cannot react to the peril to this nation you've successfully strived to become. There are no rules. You built this little world. Either man up and live through the bad press or get out.
Because obviously MSNBC thinks they cannot get numbers without focusing on me.
To the degree that the numbers we are getting have anything to do with Rush Limbaugh, it's like the numbers we got after Hurricane Katrina. There was a blight upon the land. There was a huge campaign to BS the American public that the problems were actually the solutions. We told the truth about it and people watched. Rush, you are the radio equivalent of Heck of a Job Brownie and the Bush flyover and the refugees in the Superdome. You are a human federal disaster area.
It is clear to me that MSNBC is hoping to build its ratings on my back.
This is where he would say of somebody else, but there's so much room back there. Instead, I will go here. This man, this publicity addict, this fame junkie, this victim of the unquenchable thirst for attention, all of a sudden he's afraid of being criticized on a television network which he believes has no viewers and no reach and no impact.
See if you can do it. You know, stand on your own 2 feet. Stand on liberalism. Stand on what you believe.
Rush, this is, in part, what we believe. This isn't a bid for ratings. We believe you suck. We believe you have contributed to the coarsening and deadening of the political dialogue in this nation. And I'm saying that as a guy who just said, F you. We believe your fixation on Bill Clinton's sex life lessened the chances that everybody in this country could have begun a serious discussion of terrorism before terrorism hit. We believe that you use chicanery, trickery, and outright lies to influence gullible people whose entire understanding of complex issues vital to their own happiness and survival is then reduced to a bunch of your catchphrases, and they don't even understand the catchphrases. We believe that the day you stop doing your show, even if you're replaced by one of those buffoons who fill in for you, that the collective intelligence of this nation will jump by at least 1 IQ point simply because you shut up. We believe that as you boast that you are listened to by 14 million Americans a week, you cannot see the forest for the ratings trees. All the rest of us, the crushing majority of the other 292 million Americans, we divide into 3 groups. Those who are hating you, those who are laughing at you, and those who will go blissfully through their lives not having any earthly clue who the hell you are or were.
So I challenge you, MSNBC, 30 days without anything mentioning me, no video of me, no guests commenting on me.
No video, you say? You mentioned the CPAC video where you forgot the first rule that guys like you and me, the hefty of this world, are supposed to remember: never undulate. You don't like us showing it. I can understand that. Well, you got it. How's this? You know, if you look at this long enough, it's got a strange soothing effect. It's kind of a lava lamp of hate speech and condescension and a subconscious reminder to everybody to check the support columns under your front porch. Didn't do it today. The video. Let's just make that permanent, all right? Dear viewer, this is our new logo. So, Mr. Limbaugh, your challenge. With all this yet, am I still up for negotiation? It's one of the problems with having a liberal heart. When the wounded animal, no matter how venomous, no matter how much at fault, begs to be left alone, I still listen. I will go 30 days on this program without referencing what has been done or said or boasted about by Rush Limbaugh, provided you go 30 days on your program without mentioning what has been done or said or boasted about by Rush Limbaugh. Hannity would last longer on the waterboard. WTF. Is that coherent enough for you? And now we know, courtesy Mr. Mueller, just how long that would be. 6 seconds. That's countdown for this, the 213th day since the previous president declared mission accomplished in Iraq. Don't you feel like doing that now when you see this at home? See you, if you're so inclined, on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon at 12:35 Eastern Time, a.m. on your local NBC. Look pretty good together there. I'm Keith Olbermann. Good night and good luck. And now with her special guest, the head of the Liberty University Democratic Students X Club. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Rachel Maddow. It's like the Muppets here, isn't it? Good evening, Rachel.
We're going to give the camera operators carpal tunnel syndrome, ultimately.
Right. Well, they can do this to us. We can do it to them.
Fair enough. Thank you, Keith.
You bye.
No, I'm tired. All right.